Welcome to Paradise Paradox.
Welcome to the Paradise Paradox. So we're still here out in our secret location in rural Mexico, and you can't see from this camera angle, but right in front of us is a tunnel, like a collapsed tunnel, which apparently used to lead to a network which runs under these houses and around between the neighbors and stuff. So people could hide. You said it was during the revolution. Is it like when?
Yeah, all these tunnels were made during the Civil War and the Revolution in Mexico, 1910. And all these houses are connected by tunnels, but now that they haven't been used and abandoned, most of the tunnels have been. I think most have been collapsed on purpose. It's just that they don't want people in the tunnels anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's tunnels that go all over this place, all the way down the river, right from mountain to mountain. I mean, who wants people rocking up, taking your land and gold?
Yeah.
Fight for your right to party.
Fight for your right to farm and drink pulque.
It's a good life.
Yeah. Cool. Shall we do an intro?
Intro. So, what do you want to talk about today?
I want to talk about ghosts and dreams and sleep paralysis and a few creepy things like that.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I mean, we've both experienced a different range of these type of. I mean, everyone dreams, but whether they're able to interpret what their dreams are and the episodes that happen within their dreams. Here in Mexico, dreams are. Well, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis and believe a lot of power that comes through dreams. And it's. I mean, every family has someone that dedicates himself to reading the dreams and understanding what they're all about. I mean, there's a couple of my uncles and aunties that like to hear about dreams.
Okay. And have you ever had a dream reading by them?
Well, no. No. I mean, I guess when we're sitting down having coffee, we always talk about what we dreamed and whoever's had a dream recently. Yeah. But I mean, having been married a few months ago, prior to that, there was a lot of dreams of me dying. Like I have family members, a couple of uncles in particular, would have a dream of that I died, and apparently it's quite a common dream to have.
When you're getting married, or?
Yeah.
Okay, because it's meant to represent like a new life or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So
not a bad omen then.
No, definitely no. It's not. But I mean I don't think very few dreams are bad, but because they're so unreal and so not what you're used to in life, yes. Most people would jump to say, oh, I had a dream that Aaron died. He's going to die. He's it's not that literal.
Yeah. Yeah. There's something more to it. Well, I always think that like there's a certain memory technique. Like if you need to remember 3 things, then you create this bizarre image in your head, and that'll make you remember it easier. Like say if your grandpa tells you that you need to water the lawn that evening, you picture in your head your grandpa riding a giant hose snake down the road, and you're not going to forget because it's so bizarre and absurd. And that's what I think a lot of dreams are just like your memory or reorganizing itself through these bizarre situations, which create new neural pathways and enable you to remember.
That's a really good way of explaining how dreams can be so abstract. Because there's no rules.
Yeah.
We're not bound by the physics of this reality.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden it's like whatever you want.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people had dreams when they go flying and stuff like that.
Lucid dreaming, it's quite common.
Yeah. It's interesting with the lucid dreaming. It's not so long that it's been accepted as something that's real, because say even 50 years ago, if you told a a psychologist or something like that, that you had a dream where you were actually aware and awake, they would say, well, that doesn't make sense, because because to be awake is to be awake, and to be asleep is when you're not awake. So you can't be conscious and dreaming. But of course, that's now just about everybody knows how false that is. Just about everybody, I think, has had a lucid dream.
Well, the idea of understanding the levels of consciousness between reality and dream realities. I mean, we go through phases of consciousness during the day.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows when you wake up, that first half an hour, you're not going to be as conscious as what you are after, just before lunch in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And then again later at night, or just before you're about to go to bed. We're constantly going through different ranges of consciousness.
And so, what about another phenomenon which is very common is the old hag syndrome?
Oh yeah, we've talked a bit about this.
Yeah.
So what is that? what is the old? A lot of people talk about the old hag, as in they, or I think they've all got different faces, maybe.
Yeah.
Like it's different at every person.
Yeah.
But the experience, what did you call that?
What do I call it?
Yeah, like the idea
it's
of the old hag.
It's a hypnopompic experience. I mean, like you're having an experience where you're coming to consciousness, but you're not quite there yet. So it's like you have the sleep paralysis, and at the same time you're having this dream or this vision, or even just a sense of presence that somebody's in the room, and like. Do you remember the last time you had that experience?
Yeah, well, okay, I'll call it the old hag, because sometimes it could just be a dark figure.
Yeah.
Or like a humanoid type shadow.
Yep.
That could be. You might not even see it, but you feel like it's in the corner of your room or at the end of your bed or at your door.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It was actually about a year ago. I think it was a mix between that old hag experience and a type of paralysis, because I thought I woke up.
Yep.
Like you feel like, in my experience, I was visiting family members out in another country town, and I woke up, and at the time I didn't realize I was still dreaming. But the dream went to, I realized that I couldn't move exactly the same as what I would normally, so I was kind of bound to my bed, like weighted down to my bed, and I did feel a character, a presence of someone else being in the room, right at the end of my bed. And at first you don't think about it, and you think, okay, someone else in the room just, or someone else has got up before you and they're going to the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
But then when you can't move, all of a sudden there's like a slight panic that comes in, like there's something else happening here.
Yeah.
And then the figure, it moved from the corner of the room to the end of my bed, and I couldn't move at that point. I was completely stuck. In trying to get up or move, or even just talk or make sound, or just call out for someone, I felt like there was pressure on my shoulders, like pushing me down into the bed. The more I struggled to wake up out of the dream, the more I felt like I was getting pushed down. But that, I mean, I wasn't exactly scared. I just didn't know what was happening.
Right. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, when they have sleep paralysis or the old hag syndrome, like even just with sleep paralysis alone and not even seeing the vision, a lot of people freak out because they've never heard of this type of thing before. It's probably not discussed as much as it should be, because it causes people a lot of undue stress because they have no idea what's happening. This is like if you got your first period and nobody had ever told you something like that. But
that can be quite a daunting experience.
Yeah. So actually, I've got a couple of techniques when I'm in sleep paralysis. I don't think I've ever tried them when I've had the old hag visit me, but when I'm in sleep paralysis, sometimes I use these techniques to wake myself up. So there's a couple of things I do. The first thing is, like, your entire body is paralyzed normally, except for like your eyes and your breathing. You can normally still control your breathing. So one common way to get yourself out of this state is to start hyperventilating. So just breathe in, breathe out really quick as you can, and because of that, you got this sudden rush of oxygen, and your body's like, oh, it kind of shakes you out of that state. And another thing which I do, which is it's a little hard to describe, but the thing is, when you're in sleep paralysis, a lot of the time it's like if you're trying to move, it's like you're moving your phantom limbs or your dream limbs, but not your actual limbs. Or I've had experiences where I was in sleep paralysis, I closed my eyes, and I went to roll over, and I'm like, yep, I rolled over. But then I opened my eyes, and I realized I hadn't moved at all. But what I realized is, if you move your arm forward, you keep moving it forward until it starts rotating around and going behind you, and then keep pushing it in a way that you can't physically do it
Normally.
Yeah, but because
Real.
it's an imagined or a dream limb, a phantom limb, you can keep doing it. But then your brain is going to be like, huh, this isn't supposed to happen, and then it normally breaks you out of it.
I like that exercise.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot. I mean, for myself, it's becoming more common that I'm in a dream, but I don't realize that I'm dreaming, or that I've woken up into a dream. So it's like if you just get in a habit of doing this in the morning when you wake up, it's like, and then all of a sudden you start doing it naturally in all your dreams. Then you realize that you're dreaming. But then at that point, you can choose to keep carrying on with the dream.
Yeah.
No rules. Whatever you want.
Yeah. Though I don't know, because if you do that in your dreams, it might startle you when you wake up. But I guess it depends if you're used to it.
Well, I'm trying to expand my dreamscape.
So far that you can stretch your arms right behind you or over your head.
Well, I like to do a stretch in the morning.
Bend your elbows backwards.
Well, it'd be cool. It's a cool little test to know that you are dreaming, and then at that point you can utilize the dream. Ask your super consciousness questions, and let it display, I don't know, future realities. I mean, I don't know. Dreams seem so potent. I don't know what the limitation of a dream could be. It's like you're floating there in your super consciousness.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. You can be like, you don't need to take drugs to have a trip, because every night you go to sleep and you have a vision.
The trick is remembering it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we were talking about how many old hag dreams we might have had, and everyone's had at least a handful.
Yeah.
At least a handful that I can remember that left an impression on me. But how many are there that I don't remember?
Yeah.
Or that I just wake up like nothing happened.
Yeah, probably hundreds. I remember I had one where there was like death. The Grim Reaper was sitting in the corner of my room in the chair. That was pretty creepy.
Talk to him?
No. I believe it was only a brief experience.
Was that a while ago?
Yeah, that was like 10 years ago.
Well, he's still here, so it's definitely in the wrong room.
Yeah.
But you mentioned rolling over in your sleep, like rolling over and waking up and realizing you haven't moved at all.
Yeah.
I think the rolling out of bed is a common. You lay in the middle of your bed and you feel like you roll off the end of your bed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Have you experienced that?
I don't know, not for a long time, but that sensation of falling in your dreams, of course, is a very common one.
Yeah.
And then you jump in your bed.
Or you wake up just before you splat.
Yeah. But you were saying something about changing channels when that happens.
Ah, yeah. No, okay. No, this is only very new to me, because normally I have recurring dreams of being attacked by lions or having bulls run through my house, and like their aim is to kill me.
Right.
And about 6 months ago, no, a little bit longer than that, I got sick of the same dream. And when the bull went to charge me within my own house, I went to charge the bull, and I was like pulling this courage out of doing things that you wouldn't normally do, but accepting your fate. But when the bull and I headbutted together, it's like the dream changed. The dream changed, and it was me with my head against a mirror.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't told you about this one?
No.
No, a few friends know. I mean, I like to talk dreams and things, but no, that was probably the first time that I really stepped up and did something that I was out of my normal behavior. Normally, you try to climb a tree or try to run to another room, and you're scared.
Right.
You're flustered about this whole experience. It should not be a bull trying to kill me in my lounge room. I was watching TV, and then Actually, I'm starting to like those dreams now because you have a choice to challenge yourself,
Right.
and there's always a changeover. I'm trying to think of the last one that I had that I changed over. I think we may have talked about it.
Yeah. What happened?
My last dream that changed over. It was only this last week. It was nothing to do with a bull. No, it was a lion. I was at a circus. I was at a circus, and the animals escaped.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it might have been people that I was with that was letting the animals out, and they let the lion out.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I realised we probably shouldn't let the lion out. And as I was running over to close the jail type gate, the barred gate, he put his paw through.
Okay.
So I couldn't shut the door. And obviously the lion, 400 kilos, or I don't know, they're big animals.
Yeah.
I couldn't push the door against him. He didn't seem that bad. I mean, he just wanted to get out. So he got his paw in, and then when they're banging the door, he got his other paw out. And when I realised that there's no way I'm shutting this gate, I just let him go. And then he ran towards me as if he was going to attack me. I mean, this is probably within the space of a few meters. Yeah. And I just went to give him a hug. And then he started playing with me like it was like a normal. I went from being terrified to hanging out with a pet. This huge big lion.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was only last week.
Cool. Well, a common dream that I've had like scores of times over the years is the one where I lose my teeth. Have you ever had that?
Never.
No? Okay. Or sometimes there's like a hole in my teeth and it's bleeding out and I'm like, what did I do? Why did I forget to brush? Stuff like that. Or the teeth just straight up drop right into the sink.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it's really common. A lot of people I've met have had it. And I remember I read one interview with the rapper Buck65, and I think they kind of spun it a bit in the article the way they wrote it, but the point was the guy kept having this recurring dream of losing teeth, and then one night he's just like, fuck it. He spits all his teeth out. Like, yeah, what's up?
Yep. Don't need these.
Yeah, like it's like, I'm letting the chips fall where they may. Whatever comes. Yep. And after that, he never had that dream again.
I think those kind of experiences are really important. Like we are able to confront something. Because normally, I mean, dreams are quite abstract and it's not exactly what you're trying to confront. Yeah. But when you are able to have a fear and just realize that fear there's no need for it. There's no it's a negative emotion. Like there's no maybe it's like a protective thing. But when you realize that you are dreaming, then you can choose not to let it affect you so much. Yeah.
And I wonder, I might have to do some research into this, but I wonder, like, at a kind of level of personal development, like people who have lucid dreams, active dreamers, I wonder if they actually find it easier to confront their fears. And my guess would be that they would, because they can always... they can play out the scenarios in their dreams and find ways to conquer them.
Yeah, it makes sense that they would be able to face anything, knowing that they can ultimately accept whatever fate's going to come upon them.
Yeah. And if you... it's like in the book, The Way of the Samurai, it mentions like a great warrior will envision his death by hundreds of different ways, like by seppuku, getting your guts fallen out from a katana to the stomach, and being crushed by 10-story tall tidal waves and stuff like this. And he imagines it, he sees it before it happens. So when it actually happens, it's like, this, I'm ready for this.
I've seen done that.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to do that again. This time I'll get away.
Yeah. So it's like he's so desensitized to death. He's not worried about it.
Well, that's like just utilizing your imagination, your creativity to preempt.
Yep.
Negative, uncomfortable situations, and knowing that you're going to be okay. That's a pretty powerful technique.
Yes. Yeah. I've tried visualizing it a few times. I don't know if it affected my fear of death at all, but I don't have much of a fear of death, so maybe it worked.
Yeah, that's something I don't really fear death much either. I think death has been something that we've been programmed to try avoid.
Yeah.
You know, we're not supposed to die.
Definitely avoid it, but.
But I think it's. I mean, it may more so in our culture where we're being programmed to know that this is our only life. That this is it. This is the final frontier. This is our life. And death means it's the end of everything you're ever going to experience. But I mean, you look back at other civilizations like the Mayans and Aztecs that had sporting games, arenas built for these games, and it was honourable to win and then die. Yeah, it was like, you know, you won your passage.
Yeah. Or the way I heard the story, like when they play that ancient form of basketball, like if you win, you get the glory, the gold, the women, the respect, everything, and if you lose, you get sacrificed. So either way, it's a good outcome. That's the way the players saw it. Apparently.
Well, I heard a lot of the winners got sacrificed as well.
Okay, yeah, I guess high quality stock.
Yeah, well, it's the idea of sacrificing. I mean, these civilizations knew a lot more than what we did in regard to dreams and incarnations, reincarnations. The idea of that, if we talk about pyramids, just briefly, these pyramids weren't built for us. They were built as like time capsules for their own people, to be able to get reincarnated and continue their journey, to continue their knowledge.
Really? Okay. But were they just for the kings, or what's the story?
I think they're for all the people, because in the first episode we mentioned there's two main reasons, abstract reasons why the pyramids were made. And the first one was
the Egyptian ones, or the
let's talk. Well, I mean they're all essentially made for the same reasons. Okay. So the Egyptian ones we mentioned that are completely aligned with the planet and the axis, and they kind of stabilize the movement of where the planet is, and that's why they are true north, which was a post outcome. But the other reason that we didn't mention was that these are like big meditation or mind sensory deprivation machines. where I mean, you know, like the people here have the idea of going into a mind sensory deprivation tank, you know, the salt water filled tank where you go into, because the water is the same temperature as your body, and you don't feel the edge of the limitation of your inside world, outside world, and then you just dream. Apparently these pyramids had the same amount of power, and you could go down into their main chambers, and because it was so dark and something about
because it's like kind of underground, it's temperature controlled. Yeah,
everything. I think it was more maybe frequency energy based.
Yeah.
But you were able to you're able to superpower your dreams. Just tap into that space so much quicker, and it was. Well, I mean, it's almost like someone taking drugs to do the exact same thing. Like, you know, we're talking there's more than one way to take a trip. And these guys were able to build the same way, you know, you can buy a mind sensory deprivation tank. Why not build a pyramid in your backyard and go chill out in that? You know, that's just an idea.
If you have some slaves lying around, you know, put them to work.
14,000 or so?
Yeah. Just an entire empire ready to sacrifice themselves at any moment.
Just so you can get your dreams on.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
But I've also thought maybe the idea of lucid dreaming, if you did get it down to a T, where you could realize you're in a dream and then control it, so that you could teach yourself how to play the violin. And every night, because it was a dream, you could get 4 hours of practice done. Or at least every week, you know, you get hours of practicing, but it was never affecting your real life. But at some point, you got to realize that you can play the violin in your dream. Why can't you play it in real life?
Yeah.
And then just do it.
Yeah, but that's actually a technique that higher level athletes use. Not in their dreams necessarily, but they'll do visualization. So say they learn a new technique, a new spin, a somersault, whatever, and then they try it, like say they practice it for an hour or 3 hours in real life, but then when they go home, they're still practicing in their mind, and they'll repeat it like 1,000 times in their mind. The next day they come in and their muscle memory has already adapted because of that extra training, And even actually, I remember reading one article years ago which said, like, say you do bicep curls. If you do them in real life, you'll get stronger. But even if you just visualize them, you will still get stronger. It's like 10 or 20% of the effect of actually doing them. But still a measurable effect.
I saw the experiment where they had runners and they had those things you stick on your head to check the mind activity.
Okay.
And
like EEG.
I think so.
Yeah.
They were able to have them. They asked them to visualize running.
Yep.
And then they actually had them on a treadmill running.
Yep.
And the exact same signals in your brain and nervous system twitches were exactly the same. In saying the mind doesn't realize whether you're doing something for real or not. It makes no difference.
Yep. And I think that's going to be interesting in the future too, because like, what if we get prosthetic limbs, like extra limbs that are maybe they're robotically controlled, and you use them with your mind and pick up your brain waves,
the synapses and
so you visualize moving this new hand and it actually starts to move or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, you have to do some training, but why not?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the brain instrument isn't. We don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, they say there's no limits. It's like, well, when do we run out of memory? It's not like a computer where we're limited to memory. It's like we're an infinity machine.
Infinity machine. That's cool. We should have called our podcast the Infinity Machine.
No, we can always start another one.
Yeah.
Maybe season 2. But when you realise there's no limits to what you're doing, and there's a whole other world.
Yeah.
In dream space, then I mean, it'd be good to know what you want to do with your life, rather than just floating through. So start dedicating some higher order function to things that are worthwhile.
Yeah.
Like putting a podcast together about higher order functions.
Do you visualize having conversations like this?
I haven't.
I get a lot of practice just talking shit otherwise.
I haven't, but I have been known to talk a lot of shit. So maybe I've been practicing in real life. What a waste of time.
There's good preparation time.
Do you visualize much?
No, recently. I've never been good at it, and I guess I've never quite got over that initial hump of how difficult it seems. So, like, even when I visualize it, it seems like everything is all black. Like, because I got my eyes closed, everything is all black. I can kind of make out these faint figures. Which, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking with visualization, it's something that you forget to do.
Yeah. Like,
everyone knows that it's a powerful tool, but I can't think of the last time I visualized.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe when I'm doing like a business plan or trying to put together a project, I have a vision of how it wants to come out and what steps I need to do to get that outcome.
Yeah.
But as for like everyday life and just improving yourself, I haven't visualized. I feel like I've been letting myself down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something to work on. It's a big avenue of
potential.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we're getting back to the old hag. So the old hag in Spanish they call it the old witch, or la bruja vieja. And some people call it, if sex is involved, it can be called a succubus or an incubus. A succubus is a female demon, generally, that has sex with males in their sleep, and an incubus is a male demon that has sex with females in their sleep. Actually, there's I remember reading about cases of phantom births. So people would say that the woman had sex with an incubus in her sleep, and then her belly would expand over the 9 months, and then she'd try to give birth, but there was nothing there. It was just like her uterus had filled up with air.
This is a thing?
I'm not sure. I read about it ages ago. I don't remember the source. I don't remember if it's
I'm sure there's many guys that would love a female demon to come into their room. Can you call upon this?
I think Yeah, you probably can. There's probably ways of doing it.
Incubus.
Incubus, succubus. I don't know where those names come from. It might be from Greek.
They sound Greek.
Yeah, I suspect it's Greek. And but a friend of mine actually had a nasty experience with the old hag, where she came into his dream, and he doesn't have a strong memory of what happened. Just that, he felt the presence. I think he probably felt the pressure on his chest when he tried to move. But when he woke up in a few hours, he felt like he'd been violated. He literally felt like he had been raped. And like it's such a strong feeling, like it was something real to him at the time. Later he became more skeptical, and I don't think he doesn't really believe that it was actually something independent of his consciousness that happened. He generally thinks it's something in his brain, but more recently he started to say, I don't know if these things have an independent reality or not, because he's actually an active dreamer. He has a lot of lucid dreams. Actually, he has this interesting technique where he'll wake up in the middle of the night, and then he'll go and sit in the middle of his lounge room and start meditating, and he'll meditate into a sleep state, and that's one way he gets lucid dreams.
It's really. How long ago was this for him?
Probably a few years, like 3 years.
So within the 3 years, he's gone from having this traumatic experience to maybe it was just a dream to it's probably just a dream.
Well, he went to, it was probably just a dream. Like that was how it was. Like about a year ago when he first described it to me, but now I talked to him a bit about other experiences, and he's like agnostic about it. He's like, I don't know if these things have an independent reality, like beings he meets in his dreams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just doesn't know.
Does he seek them out? Does he try and manifest them in his meditations before he goes to bed?
I don't know if he probably doesn't seek out a succubus.
Maybe not something that he would want to.
Yeah, but I'm sure he meets beings that he wants to meet again in his dreams.
Almost like a channeling.
Yeah.
Man, it seems so. This whole topic's so off the planet. I'm looking around for lions and things. Like, am I dreaming right now?
Oh yeah.
We
need to keep checking.
I'm hearing things moving around. I don't know. Maybe I should twist my arm around. Which way do you go? No, it's real.
It seems real. How many fingers do I have? Just seven on each hand. Okay, I guess it's real.
But it is weird that people can wake up and have scratches, marks on them. I mean, it's quite common in horror movies. These kind of ideas where the character would wake up and there's like a scratch down his back, or there's blood in the bed.
Yeah.
Have you come across any of that?
I've never personally witnessed it or had an experience like that.
I mean, I've had bruises that I can't account for, but that could be just catching a bus to.
Yeah, knocking your knees. Getting drunk one night and forgetting that, something like that.
That happens.
But the stigmata is apparently a real phenomenon. So, this psychosomatic kind of things, or, maybe it's an actual effect of a real thing somehow impacting it. I couldn't even speculate.
Well, we previously we spoke about energy that's created through belief, through fate. In a lot of religions,
Yep.
It's used like this. I mean, last night we went to the festival here of Padre Jesus in the local town, and it's hard to understand exactly where the people feel with these sort of events. Like it's obviously it's a religious event.
Yeah,
it's very powerful for everyone that's part of it. I've recently, for the last couple of years, been visiting as well, and it's interesting to see people account miracles for for these ceremonies, or for going to mass, for these beliefs, and it really draws people. Like, we were there at midnight last night, midnight at 2 o'clock in the morning, and there was a good 50 people in the church.
Yeah. So they'd set up like 300 chairs.
We didn't go in the morning. In the morning, you wouldn't even get in. That's why I go at midnight, so I can get a chair and I can relax.
Yeah.
It's freezing, but I can enjoy the experience and then go home and go to bed. That's me done. But I mean, there's a lot of people that stay there all night and then go to the mass, and the midnight mass and the 8 o'clock in the morning mass.
All right.
Just to get a good spot, I guess. No, I mean, it must be some kind of meditation as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are just within my family, there's so many miracles that's come about. Just through their faith. Well, there's one of my let's see, I'll say my auntie, but like a political auntie. She was told she had cancer, 2 weeks, a month to live.
Wait, hold on. You said a political auntie. Do you mean not a blood auntie or what?
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I'm thinking in Spanish.
Okay.
It's like they say if you're not blood auntie or blood family, then it's a political family.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough.
I don't know why they say that. That's what occurred to me.
It's kind of a nasty expression.
Like, political auntie. Well, I didn't really know her very well.
Yep.
But she's now part of the extended family.
Yep.
And she was told she had 2 weeks to live. She had cancer. That's, like, as far as I know, it was cancer pretty much in every major organ. Like, it was an extreme, advanced case. And the family took a picture of Padre Jesus and put it in her hospital room, and they would pray with her. And by a miracle, she went from being critical with 2 weeks to live to completely coming back to being fine, no cancer. I mean, the story is a little bit more colourful in between, because there's a few weird episodes. Like, what happened was, she within the 2 weeks, she started losing all her body mass. Like, she started even shrinking. I don't know if people shrink. Like, she's old. She's probably in her 60s.
Okay.
But she was in the process. I don't know whether it was the chemo or whatever. But she losing body mass. Maybe she didn't shrink, but she looked like she was smaller.
Yeah.
And they went to do a test. Like, they had to take her to another hospital to go do some testing to find out, where to go check how advanced her cancer was. This is when it was already way past. They knew that was critical. Apparently, the doctor that came to check on her doesn't exist. Never registered in the hospital.
Okay.
A doctor turns up to her room and says, "Okay, time to go do this test, but we don't have the equipment here at this hospital, so we're going to take an ambulance to the other hospital."
Right.
In the whole process, she went. One of my aunties went with her as well, and 100%. This really happened. But there's no record of the ambulance leaving the hospital. There's no record of her leaving the hospital. Like, she's not allowed to leave the hospital. But apparently some doctor turned up, went, organised to take her to another hospital to do the checks and everything. And they brought her back. And when they're waiting for the results, the doctor came in and said, "Yeah, you're fine. There's no cancer." And everyone swears this happened. Everyone says this is exactly what happened, because there was, all her family that were there saw her leave her room, saw her get in an ambulance and go to another hospital. Now, the other hospital has no record of her turning up. The doctor didn't exist, you know what I mean? And so now it's like this huge story. Within the family, it's like this big family story about how powerful Padre Jesus is.
Right. Yeah. That portrait of Padre Jesus, I don't like that portrait at all.
It's very confronting, isn't it?
It's like this. Is it just called Padre Jesus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like this picture of Christ. He's wearing a golden wreath, I think, of thorns, and he's wearing these fine robes with rosaries and flowers around his neck, and the gown looks really nice, but his face is like he's next to death.
He's struggling.
Yeah.
Like he's in pain.
Actually, I don't like the technique of the painting. I think his face doesn't look in proportion or something like that. But I guess maybe it's because it's supposed to be shriveled from almost dying. Yeah,
it is like he does have a smaller face.
Yeah.
It is a very confronting picture, but that picture has, its original name was Padre Jesus, and it's become well, I mean, we never went and seen, but there are tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 people that walk from Mexico City to get here.
Right.
They walk from other towns to get here, or ride bikes or ride horses or whatever. But everyone makes like their pilgrimage out to this church, and it's the image itself that everyone holds. Even though it is a picture of Christ, it's like that particular picture of Christ has its name.
Yeah.
And everyone has a copy.
Yeah.
Might have a copy in my pocket. We were giving out cards last night.
Cards?
Yeah, cards of the picture.
Oh, right.
And then on the back it was like a message for the year.
All right. Okay. That's
But
nice.
this idea of I guess taking a picture and giving it power by allowing everyone to believe one thing. I mean, how do you see that?
I see that as a big hypocrisy in the Catholic Church, because they do that like with the Virgin Mary, and the Virgin Mary is barely mentioned in the Bible. So that's an especially weird case, because like all over Latin America, there are shrines to the Virgin Mary, like just in the street. You walk down to the corner and there's just one sitting there, so people can stop and pray in the middle of their workday.
But it's more than that, because for example, in Guadalajara, there's various Guadalupes that are associated to different churches, and they say that this particular Guadalupe has done all these miracles.
Yeah. So the Virgin of Guadalupe is like the story. It's supposed to be kind of parallel to Virgin Mary in Mexico, and it's got this whole mythology around it. But
I mean, what I don't like about it, which I think is what you're talking about, in the with the story of Moses, and how he climbed the rock, got the 10 Commandments, came back down, and he found his people worshipping a gold bull.
Yes.
It's like, I feel like it's a little bit like that.
It's exactly like that, and that's why I say it's very hypocritical, because I tell people, like, that's one of the commandments, that thou shalt not worship graven idols. But I don't know, because I asked some people about the 10 Commandments, Catholics in Mexico and Latin America, and a lot of the time they don't know them. And a lot of the time, the translation to Spanish is very different for that graven idols part. It's almost like it glazes over the fact that you're not supposed to worship things.
Yeah. No, I've noticed that with a lot of scriptures, that the translation's not exactly pure.
Yes.
Like it's been painted with like a Latin stick.
Yeah. Or like in the Lord's Prayer in English. You say, forgive my trespasses as I forgive those who've trespassed against me, which is very abstract. Like, what are you talking about? Somebody walking on your property? Like, why do you need to forgive them? Like, that's really not a big deal.
Okay.
Apparently, the original text says something closer to, like, forgive my debts as I forgive my debts, as I forgive the debts of those with me.
But is that wrongdoings, or are we talking about financial?
I'm not sure, because it's open to interpretation. Of course, in Spanish it's discúlpeme mis pecados, like forgive my sins. Yeah,
which I think that seems to make more sense to me.
Yes.
Than trespassing or debts.
Yeah. But I don't know, because that's I think that might have been a tradition in Israel, like one day a year, or no, one day every 7 years, there would be a debt festival. So everybody who had debts would be forgiven.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. But getting back to, let's see, the old hag. So, an interesting thing about this, when I talk to somebody who's skeptical about it, or someone like a hardline skeptic, they say, well, it's just a process in your brain. It's not something that's really happening, and it's a bunch of chemicals in your brain. It's a sleep paralysis. Your body hasn't completely woken up yet, and your brain tries to make sense of what's happening, and sometimes that involves interpreting a pressure, interpreting your inability to move as somebody actually holding you down.
Yeah.
And let's let's see. I told you this metaphor before. I'll use a slightly different metaphor, but I see it as like, say if JFK appears on your television, you could say, why is JFK on my television? And a completely factual answer is to say, well, they're transmitting radio waves, and the radio waves are picked up by your antenna, and the television interprets the signal and produces an image, and that's entirely factual. But that's a proximate cause. It's not the ultimate cause. So a less proximate cause would be to say, well, JFK is standing in front of a camera in Washington D.C. That's less proximate, and of course that means that is one reason why you are seeing JFK on the TV.
Yeah, 100% valid.
Yeah, but an even less proximate cause would be to say that there's a Cuban Missile Crisis, and he's trying to warn the people, and that's a different kind of answer to the question why. It's like there's a significance there.
Yep.
So my point is, you can have this experience of the old hag, and people can say, well, it's something that's happening in your brain. That can be entirely valid, but it's not necessarily the entire story. There can be a less proximate cause, which is a being which may have an independent reality from your consciousness, who is interfering with your consciousness, and a less proximate cause might be, this thing is trying to wish you ill. It's trying to attack you, something like that, and that's like a significance, a meaning of the interaction.
Could be trying to snatch your body.
Yeah,
body snatches.
It could be doing something like a skinwalker or something like that.
It's a common theme in movies.
Skinwalkers or
the idea
body
of,
snatchers.
Yeah, body snatchers. The idea of a soul entering your your vessel and taking it for a drive.
Yeah. Well, that's something I read about. Like, people post these stories on 4chan. I mentioned 4chan.
Yeah, you mentioned it, but I didn't know. But explain what 4chan is, because it seems like something that I would now want to go investigate and just follow the blog.
I think it's almost dead now. But 4chan for years, it was this image board site where you could post images anonymously, and most people would post anonymously. Hardly anybody would put a name to their posts.
Okay.
And so, this is like the greater internet theory of arseholishness. When you get people who are anonymous, nobody knows who they are, and you have this freedom from consequences. Of course, they post the most vile, nastiest things. So for that reason, it's called the asshole of the internet.
Freedom has a price.
Yeah, but it's interesting too, because it's completely chaotic, and some very interesting things have come out of 4chan.
In particular?
Well, there's like I was saying about this paranormal thing. So I mean, the paranormal board on 4chan is like full of people repeating the same old stories normally, and they're like very too open-minded people, and they don't question what they read so much, and they repeat all this nonsense, and it's not that interesting. But once something came up in another one of the forums, I think it was the military or the gun forum, something like that, and people started sharing these weird stories about things that happened when they were going camping or when they were on base in the military, and a lot of the recurring themes was like these skinwalkers. So say someone goes out camping with their friend. This is one story I read. This is like their best friend, and they go out camping, and outside the tent they normally see something happening. They see a silhouette. They hear a weird scream, or they hear somebody mimicking their voice, but in a way that sounds like scratchy and distorted. So trying to say the same words, but it's coming out like the vocal cords are completely different.
Well, you're saying that the person's trying to explain this, or having a conversation, but their voice isn't coming out right?
I'm saying they hear something in the distance, like this animal, a beast in the woods that's trying to imitate their voice.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and And so, yeah, the dude goes to sleep, and in the middle of the night, maybe he wakes up and he sees something inside the tent, and he sees it attacking his friend, something like this. But then the next morning, when they wake up, he notices his friend is acting very strangely. It's like he doesn't know almost how to operate his body. He is staring at his cell phone as if he's never used it before, and trying to operate it and send text messages, and he's speaking like a robot and very monotone voice.
How long does it last for?
Well, in this story, the story goes that they pack up and they leave. They go back home, and the guy drops his friend off, and basically they never talk again, because he's like, I don't know what happened to my friend, but that is not my friend. And
Whoa, okay.
a lot of these stories, they're interesting because I normally have a good feeling of when something is fictional, because there's subtle clues in the language where you say, okay, well, that's, he's trying to play it up. This is a fancy narrative or something like that. But these stories are generally very straight up, at least the better written ones. They're very, very straight up, like, this is what happened. I don't really know what happened, but that's just what it was.
Yeah.
And so I find this evidence very fascinating, but it's not not something that I can say actually happened, but it is very interesting.
But there's been more than one case.
Yes.
Of these sort of things happening, like this
Yes.
phenomena.
Yes. Yeah. Where some people would say, well, one person posted on 4chan first and everybody else copied. I don't know if that's true. Well, they both watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Well,
I don't know. They're good stories anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I think about stories like this, I like to think there's truth to everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't there, I'm not involved, so I can't say it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But maybe to that person that wrote it, it did happen.
Yeah.
So at that point, I need to respect the truth that he's saying, and whether I choose to believe it or not has got nothing to do with the story itself.
Yeah.
So let's assume that it did happen like that. I mean, I haven't had any experiences like that, or I lost any friends over things like that. But over time, people change.
Yes.
And friends kind of drift away.
Yeah.
To have it happen in one night seems. Well, I've seen friends have like mental illness episodes, and I know they're not the same person.
Yes. Yes.
And it's hard because you know who the person is, you know how special they are to you, but then you can't extend the same trust. Yeah. Because all of a sudden you don't know how much that person's left, or what happened, or how long it's going to be till they come back. Yes. I mean, and this could be just the aggressive friend that gets drunk and all of a sudden wants to just start fights. It's like, that's not my friend, but I know that he's been drinking all night and that's what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that
comes out.
That's a real basic example.
Yeah.
But I guess that's why I asked, how long did it last for?
Yeah, well, yeah, according to this story, it was permanent. But who knows? Maybe it's a temporary effect there. So this is like you told me this place is kind of like the land of ghosts and stuff like that. There's a lot of ghost stories from this place. I didn't see any. Maybe we should have gone exploring, like down to the river in the night or something like that. But I did have a weird dream the other night, which was it was a creepy dream, and sometimes I get these creepy dreams. It's not like a nightmare. It's different because there's a point in my dream. When I have one of these dreams, there's always this definite point where I say something is not right. This is strange. It's like there's a presence in my dream. So I had one of these dreams the other night where I had, let's see, I was going around. The longer version of the story is I was going around Melbourne trying to find a certain electronics store, and I heard your voice tell me, like a memory within the dream, telling me that some of the roads were blocked off in Melbourne for some purpose, and then I noticed there were a lot of military around. There was roads blocked, But then I decided to go past the roadblocks. I was apparently having an out-of-body experience within my dream, flying past the roadblocks, and I got to the area where this where this electronic store was supposedly located. But it was on the second story of the city because for some reason in this dream, this Melbourne is multi-layered. And
well, like every reality, it's got multiple layers.
Yeah, yeah. This is a two-story or three-story city. So I start flying up, but then I falter and I make a mistake with my flying and I fall to the ground and I wake up. Except I don't actually wake up; it's a false awakening. And I'm in the house of my parents. I'm lying on the floor in an indeterminate room, either in my old bedroom or in the lounge room, and and this like slightly coincides with reality because of course I was in reality I was sleeping on the floor of the tent, but I'm turned on my side and I see like this desk, or a table. And it has pieces of paper propped up as if you were using it to read while you type, something like that.
Okay.
And then the pieces of paper start to develop faces, and then there starts to be more and more faces, just like
the same kind of face.
More or less, because I mean they're in different proportions. Like some of them are bigger than others. None of them are larger than like 10 centimeters, and 10 centimeters in height, and they've all got the same color because it's like pitch. Well, it's not pitch dark, but it's very dark in the room where I am, and so I can't make out any color. So it's like these grey faces, and there starts to be more and more of them, and that's when I start to get this feeling like this isn't right, like there is something entering my dream.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to wake up.
Well, here in Mexico it's very common. The concept of faces is like there are other entities, other beings, trapped souls, call them whatever you want. But yeah, if you say that you saw heaps of faces, changing faces in your dream, then that's like other entities trying to enter. Because there's quite often, everyone, I mean, I'll say everyone here, like family-wise, everyone, we talk a lot of dreams, they know when they see faces, like in their dream state, they walk past a building and they see faces in the glass windows, or in the reflection of car windows or things, that's like entities trying to enter your dream.
Wow, okay.
That's what they say. So the fact that you had that the dream here when you, that was 2 days ago?
Yeah, the night before last, yeah. So, yeah, it's not the first time I've had that kind of feeling that was something in my dream. But this time, well, a lot of the times I've had it. It's a bit more threatening. There's some, like I remember I had one dream where I came home and to a house that I've never lived in. It looked like it was on a street in Mexico City in Chapultepec, and I went up the stairs and there was this guy knocking on my door. I'd seen him in the street. He had this black hat and indistinguishable face, and he was like, I know what you've done. I know what you've done. I'm gonna get you. And then he started threatening my younger brother.
Do you know what you did?
Well, in that dream, it was to do with me hiding gold by the riverbank.
Yeah, you've been known to do that.
But that's the thing, because when he came into the dream, I'm not sure if he knew what had happened before in the dream. So I don't know if he was accusing me of something completely different.
That's crazy. But you felt like there's a possibility that he was accusing you of what happened in a previous dream, like as if it was.
No, in that dream, but before he had entered, because he entered when I was walking home on that street, and I saw him in a car. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah. So I woke up from that dream and had goosebumps over like half of my body, and that. yeah, I got up and burnt some sage. Actually, after that dream, because this is when I was living in a house in Guadalajara, in Casa Jesus, and what happened was a Brazilian girl was sleeping upstairs in the guest room. I got up around 3 a.m. I went around my room burning sage, and I said, get out of my room, because burning sage is what you do to remove spirits. And it tends to work pretty well, so I keep doing it.
Yeah. I've heard that too. I've heard it kind of like it outlines the perimeter of the reality, like of the three-dimensional space.
That's an interesting way of putting it. Yeah, that's cool.
Because then that way the smoke is kind of like it maps out.
Yeah.
What's physical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they can't travel through walls and things. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I just heard things like that.
That's interesting. Yeah. So what happened this time was the Brazilian. The young Brazilian lady upstairs, a friend of my housemates, around the same time, about 3 a.m., she had a strange experience. And when we woke up, we were sitting around having breakfast, whatever, and Marjorie was like, oh, I had something weird happen last night, and I had to run out of my room. And my other housemate, Martina, was like, oh, what, there was like a bug in your room, a wasp or something? And she's like, no, and being really vague about it. And when she said, when I saw that she was deliberately being vague, I said, I know what you're talking about, because I have a ghost in my room too. And
that's kind of a weird thing to bring up, to say, I know what you're talking about, I have a ghost in my room too. But
it was obvious to me what had happened to her when she was being vague about it.
Yeah, and she would have heard that and knew exactly that you knew. Like,
yeah.
She would have known, you know exactly what happened to her.
Yeah. Well, not exactly, because her experience was probably stronger than mine, because she had sleep paralysis. Not an old hag, because it was a male spirit in her room. She had this hypnopompic experience. There was a black figure sitting in the corner of a room. Every time she looked, it would get closer until it was laying next to her in bed.
Creepy. At
first she was like, oh, it's just Manuel, my housemate. But of course it wasn't. It was this black figure, and when it got close, it said to her, oh, it's so nice that you're in this state, so I can talk to you and communicate with you. And when he said that, she was like, oh, fuck this. She jumped up, ran out of the room, and she ran and slept in my housemate's room instead. So
I think when you mentioned that, she was hoping it was, she thought it was Manuel.
Yeah.
She was hoping it was Manuel.
Yeah.
She was trying to rationalize what could be happening.
Yes.
And didn't want to jump to think I have a demon spirit in my room that wants to jump in bed with me.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody really wants to think that.
I believe Mexico's got more power for things like that. I think Mexico, the fact that as a collective Mexican people, they believe.
Yes.
Like, because everyone believes in this stuff, it exists. It's like we're almost created ourselves. I mean, I did say that these are the mountains of ghosts, and a lot of things happen. It's like there's hundreds and hundreds of years of stories just within my own family.
Yes.
About things, weird things, miracles, ghosts. It's so much, and it's just my family. All these houses have stories, and I think when we come as a group, like when the whole family comes up and there's like 6 or so cars here, and as a big group of family, we're protected by the fact that nobody wants anything to happen. But I've had uncles that come out here by themselves or with a couple mates, and they tell me way different stories.
Yeah.
Like I remember telling you that the darkness or the blackness here is like pitch black at night, and you can only see a meter in front of you.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get to experience that, but I think it's probably a combination of night fog, and you just can't see. Where it wasn't even really that cold this year. It was kind of weird, but climate change, a lot of that going on.
Yeah, maybe it's something to do with it.
I think we should plan. You said you wanted to come out here again.
Yeah.
Maybe the smaller crew, and then we'll go document what we find down the river and midnight.
Yeah. I like that idea. I think it's good. Cool. So I guess that's like a final note.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up. I mean, I loved coming out here.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's such a good escape. But Paradise Paradox.
My name's Kurt Robertson.
Aaron Battle.
Look us up on Twitter. I'm @TroubleBubble.
@BattleAZ.
Yeah, so press like, press comment, and tell us something interesting. Maybe you've got some own stories of your own to tell us. Press subscribe, and
Don't
have a
forget
great New Year.
to stay conscious.
Yes,
Stay
definitely.
alive.
All right, peace.
Peace.